on my computer. Okay.
Okay, let me see. For some reason, I'm not seeing my full screen. Let me see. Here we go. Okay. So is Dr. Clark here? Is Dr. Clark? Lily's excused. Dulce, do I see Dulce? Beverly Scott is here, I see.
Yes, I'm here.
And Princess. Let's see, Princess. Annie King, she said she was going to be here. Okay, we're going to move the process, and we won't, it's not enough, it's not a bunch of action items on here. So when we get to them, hopefully we'll have a quorum if we are going to do that. So we're going to not actually approve the agenda in the minutes until they actually come. And so we'll move right now to public comments. And state your name when you have 3 minutes. I see Cordell Henley.
That's me. So good evening, Chair Gilmore, board members. My name is Cordell Henley, and I'm a Richmond resident. So Happy New Year to everyone. And I have some good news to share with you all. Let's see. You are cordially invited to attend a performance of Anton in Show Business at Contra Costa Civic Theater next month in February. I will get more details. I'll send the information to Tanya at some point. So that's it.
Thank you for your comment. Any other announcements or public comment?
Yeah, I know Jose and Bella was gonna give an update. He's with county.
Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
First of all, a belated Happy New Year and Christmas. Apologize, everybody. Kind of a quick update is that back in December, as you all noticed, from Brookside or from Giant Highway all the way after Fred Jackson, you all notice that's been cleaned out. We took about approximately cost-wise about $30,000 to $50,000 worth of garbage out of that area. It was mostly because of the homeless encampments that were occurring. And it was a joint effort between county, public works, road crew, facilities management, the city of Richmond helped out, their public works, along with the railroad, BNSF. So we're hoping to keep that area clean, and we put up signs saying that this area is constantly under cleanup. So instead of posting it, we can go in there and just clean everything out at one time. So that was a pretty good thing. Pretty, because of my throat, excuse me. That was something that was very well accomplished. However, I do ask that from continuing to do the cleanups, that if we have any grantees, to not to interfere with the cleanup, because I don't want to see them get hurt because we have heavy equipment. And there was an incident where that happened when somebody drove in trying to clean up the homeless encampment while we have heavy equipment. So we're coming at it from a safety measure is please, if we're doing cleanups, I appreciate the help, but we already have people taking care of business there. The second thing, back in December, we had a lot of tires that were dumped by one individual. We had about 30 of the big commercial tires. We were able to track that down to DeCarlo off Gertrude. The person is now in compliance. I have the state is working also on the case with them because it's an unpermitted auto record, tire facility, dismantler, and other criminal activity. So we're hopefully to get them in compliance or to shut them down. If you are picking up garbage and debris within the unincorporated areas, like North Richmond, I'm asking that everybody please obtain their hauler permit and they can contact me directly. That's about it.
All right, thank you. And just see, any other public comment? Seeing none, I see some other members have joined. I think we're still one short of having a quorum. Is that right, Tanya?
I wanted to double check on that. I know Yeah, I think, yeah, we are missing one person.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to law enforcement. And is anyone from the sheriff department here?
No, Sheriff Cardona is on vacation. I have been in communication with the Richmond Police Department, and I'm trying to get someone to come. I've been in communication with Michelle, so I'll continue that effort to try to get someone to come. And then for CHP, Officer Albanese, yeah, Carr, he is now, he was promoted, so that's good. He was promoted, but unfortunately, we are gonna lose him in North Richmond. And he said that he is, you know, if he'll continue to monitor the process for the new hire. He said that they're hoping that within a month or two, they'll have someone new. But if they don't, that we can, you know, contact him, and he will assist us.
Okay, we're gonna trust you to monitor all three of those departments.
And I will work with Tanya. I have some contact with the Richmond Police Department, a person who probably get somebody out here. And I also have contact with CHP. I have the captains, I guess they're called captains, information. So I'll reach out to them because I told Carl I would do that. Reach out to them and see if we can't get that partnership continued.
Okay, well, it's work in progress. I know we'll get this together. So good work, everybody. So we'll continue it. So let's move down to item number 5. And that is a recommendation for land use permit for the renewal for A&T facility. Is someone here from AT&T?
No, no one's here for AT&T. It is a renewal of something that, of a land use permit that was passed in the past, so they're just looking for a renewal. And it's the tower.
So the tower that's existing right now, they just want to keep it existing?
Yeah, they just want a renewal of the land use.
Has there been any issues with the existing tower?
No.
That we know of? No. Okay. Is it there? We're open for comments right now for folks, so you're welcome to comment on it. We don't have a quorum to do any action on it, but it certainly can be discussed. So it's open for that now.
Hi, Jose with County Health. I know that the new cameras that we got installed, I know they're having issues with those cameras. And I think it's connection problem. Is there any way possible we can hook up to their wireless?
To AT&T wireless?
Yes.
I will ask that question.
Okay, we'll research it.
I know that they're having issues.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, there is no action being taken. When is this going to happen? I know that, I mean, we haven't made a recommendation, but is it going before the Board of Supervisors like this month or is it next month?
It's this month, and yeah, I think because it doesn't have to go to the Board of Supervisors, but we just wanted to get the NRMAC recommendation.
So this is really just notification, basically. It's not like something that we could stop if we wanted to or anything like that. It's basically just notification.
We can have a meeting if someone wants to stop it, but it was essentially like something that was already passed and approved in the past, and now they're just looking for renewal. We don't see anything wrong with the tower or any negative impact, so that was the information I received from our office.
Okay, so just from you can inquire about Jose's question, right? You can do that before the meeting. Okay, Annie,
John.
go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. And I have been on, but I was muted, and I couldn't unmute, and I couldn't get my picture in the whole bit. But Tanya, as far as the land use permit for the renewal of the AT&T. It was in discussion, I think about 3 years ago, about that tower. And if you can actually tell us what this tower is actually, is it off of Par? Where's this tower located? If I can recall, 3 years ago, it was somewhere off of Par.
It is on par.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you said this was passed. I know Dr. Clark had a lot of concerns. We had concerns about the emissions of the tower and where it was located and what type of sink, you know, and what does it, as far as the singles and for emissions of, I guess, radiation or whatever. I think that was discussed, and I think they brought back that it was low in emissions of, you know, of radiations and the whole bit. But this is on the outskirts. This is on Par. This is the renewal that we're talking about at this point. Okay, I just want to be clear. I had spoken to our chair earlier, and we couldn't really recall, but I thought it was discussed, and it 3 years ago, and it was on Par. Okay, thank you.
If there's any issues, please let Tanya be aware of it. If there's some other issues we need to discuss. I know that we had a lot of conversation about this type of permit in general and how it was kind of regionally regulated. Our hands were tied a lot in regard to it. But please, any concerns, make sure that Tanya is aware of it prior to the supervisors meeting. Okay. All right, we're going to go to presentations, and that's number 6. And we have the Watershed Project. And do we have the person here for that?
Yes, hi. So hi, everybody. Happy New Year. My name is Eunice Quintanilla. I am with the Watershed Project, and I will be the one presenting to y'all today with the help of Nama. Nama, I'm not sure if there's a way that Nama can, yes, perfect, awesome. Nice, thank you, Nama. All right. So yeah, first and foremost, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for just giving us the opportunity to speak with you all today. Once again, Happy New Year. I hope everybody had a really good end of the year. And today I will be speaking about this really amazing project. It's the North Richmond Shoreline Adaptation Project that we are working on. It's a really collaborative, community-based approach to sea level rise planning that we are currently trying to do. Next. So just a really quick outline of what it is that I will be speaking about. So first, I'm gonna say who we are, who's part of the team, what this is all about, specifically the North Richmond Shoreline Project. And then we're gonna dive into a little more education-based topics like where is the water coming from? What does sea level rise mean, specifically for North Richmond, how it is that we can better be prepared for sea level rise, and specifically how to participate in the project, and some really great community aspects that will be coming into play for this. And then finally, any last minute questions or discussions that any of you might have. Next, please. So who we are a shoreline collaborative. This is, as you can see, we are, so this is a collaborative project funded by a state grant to help cope with climate change on the issue of sea level rise. The project is actually managed by the West County Wastewater Facility. I know Joe is on the call right now, and they're actually the grant recipient of this. And we are actually also in collaboration with Mithun, the architecture design team, ESA, the environmental engineers, and the Watershed Project, who will be leading the community engagement. Nama is with us as well, and she is actually with the Watershed Project as well. So this is actually a really unique project because it emphasizes collaboration between local and state stakeholders, as well as community participation. I really want to say that this project is also with the North Richmond community members in mind. And it's very much in line with that as well. Next. So what is this project, right? So there's a part 1 to this, which is a shoreline collaborative plan. So the project scope is focused on developing concept designs for nature-based sea level rise protections and increased community access and amenities along the North Richmond shoreline. Some of what you can see here, yeah, is actually, so some of the blue is literally from the projections that we're seeing from 5.5 feet of sea level rise. The blue would all be inundated, would all be flooded, including the West County wastewater facility. And this is the concept study line. The part 2 to this project is a potential pilot project and funding. So the pilot project design is to protect the wastewater county, the West County water facility itself, and also just as important, identifying funding opportunities for future implementation of the design concept. Next. And I also want to just emphasize that this project is building on a legacy that we have already been seeing in North Richmond, specifically around the work of environmental justice, planning and stewardship, and also like along the shoreline and specifically water needs that the community has been kind of putting onto the table. So this very much goes hand in hand with work that has already been done within the community and within the area. So if we bring it to today, and if we allocate ourselves today to the North Richmond shoreline, as you can see, we got the Chevron refinery, the West County wastewater facility, Richmond Parkway, North Richmond itself. But a lot of these areas are in shorelines and low-lying areas, and quite a bit of marshes as well. So if we fast forward to the end of the century with what I'm talking about, 5 feet of sea level rise, the West County wastewater facility would be flooded. These little blue areas that you see is a lot of the shoreline that would also be flooded. And then this area right here, like this purple that you see, would be areas that are not always flooded. So they're not consistently flooded, but because of high storm surges and high tides, it's very much a possibility of, regardless of it still being flooded, North Richmond being, as you can see, a really big target area for that. So it's really susceptible to flooding in general, even though it might not be flooded permanently. So where is all of this water coming from? You know, where is all of this water going to be coming into the area? So first and foremost, it is coming from the top. So it is coming from rain. So due to global warming, even if the total amount of rain each year stays about the same, or even decreases, what we are seeing at the moment is that even though we're having less storms, each storm brings about a lot more water. So there's an intensification of the storms that we're seeing. So this is because when the atmosphere heats up, it can store more water vapor for longer periods of time. So when it rains really, really hard. And I think a really good example of that would be what we just experienced right now this past winter, and just the amount of water that we saw in like a short period of time. So water is also coming from the east. So nearly all the land of the state of California discharges from the Sierra Nevada mountains to the San Joaquin and Sacramento rivers, to the Delta, the Bay Area, of course, and then the ocean. So today, most watersheds are actually dammed and water is stored in reservoirs for different land uses. But because storms are stronger, they can produce a lot more runoff and a lot more flooding. So if we bring it back from the state of California back to the North Richmond shoreline, we actually see that how water can move through the community and through these three creeks, which we're seeing: Ream Creek, San Pablo Creek, and Wildcat Creek, specifically San Pablo Creek and Wildcat Creek. And much of these creeks have already had a history of flooding. So with the intensification of the storms, it's likely for us to see a lot more of that runoff and a lot more of that flooding. This little orange area that you see right at the edge of the shoreline is the West County wastewater facility. So finally, we are also seeing, I'm sorry, not finally, but we are continuing on and we're seeing that sea level rise is, that water is also coming from sea level rise. So it's coming from the west, and the main concern there is that sea level rise is actually due to melting of glaciers and ice sheets, and the rest is because of the expansion of water molecules in the ocean. So as water heats up, the water molecules actually grow. It's like there's a really fancy term called thermal expansion of that, but a lot of this is because of climate change, because of the warming that we're seeing and experiencing today. And finally, we are seeing, we're seeing also water coming from below. So as sea level rises, it can also lead to rising shallow groundwater tables. A really big issue to that is obviously flooding hazards in the mainlands, but also contamination in areas around the bay, including Richmond. There are actually several contaminated sites from industries that release toxins into the soils. These areas were capped, but with groundwater rising, there is a really big concern that water can mobilize the contaminants to the soil surface, to the air, and even water systems, including drinkable water systems. Nice, thank you. So the implications of sea level rise, there are many. So if we just take a quick look at what we're seeing right here in the map, there's a lot of activity that we're seeing along the shoreline. And because of that, and the Bay Area is a really big example of why it's vulnerable to sea level rise, because of the amount of urban development we're seeing in these low-lying areas. So we're seeing potential loss of land, potential damage to property, transportation issues, and like I mentioned before, the wastewater system. So these facilities, while there's a potential of them being inundated, the impact, while it will obviously impact the people in the community around the facility, because the service area that they are dealing with is a lot larger than just the immediate area that they are focused in. It would essentially be a domino effect of the amount of people that we're seeing being impacted from the loss of this facility to the community and various communities outside of that. So what will sea level rise look like for North Richmond? This is actually not an easy answer, mostly because there's quite a few things that go into it. One would be there's a situation when it comes to this. So sea level in and of itself is not fixed. There's always changes that go about it. In this bottom right photo, you see the Embarcadero seawall, and how just because of a high tide, we're already seeing flooding coming in. So there's a thing of with high tide and with the storm surge, but now if we add sea level rise, it's the intensification of flooding, and just the frequency of flooding is a lot more probable. And it's also the question of how far in the future are we seeing sea level rise? Doesn't happen a foot in a year. A lot of this is really small increments of water that we're seeing kind of accumulate over time. So, and finally, we are also looking at a little more of what scenario it is that we're talking about. And what I mean by this, it really depends on human behavior and how much fossil fuels it is that we're burning. So it's hard to predict because sea level rise is connected to global warming, which is caused by the fossil fuel emissions that due to human activity. What it looks like in the future is hard because of because it's just not consistent enough to say. Like in the graph that we're seeing right here, we're seeing CO2 emissions and time. So depending on the amount of how much it is that we're putting out, that's how much the temperature would change. And temperature is largely connected to sea level rise. Good. So what you see here is how sea level rise could affect the shoreline by the end of the century. if we continue the business as usual model of what I was trying to say in the previous slide, which is, so if we continue with the same amount of CO2 emissions that we are currently going on, and we continue to emit the same amount into the atmosphere, we are looking at about 5.5 feet of sea level rise. And that's the number that most models currently say that we will be seeing by the end of the century. And you're able to see quite a bit of how much of the area will be inundated and flooded by the end of the century.
Should I run it, Q? Or do you want to, yeah?
1 second. Sorry, I'm getting my notes on. So right now, I really want to just bring it to certain community members that have worked along the shoreline, just so that we can bring you to the shoreline almost, give you a little sneak peek of what this means for folks, some of the work that has been done, so that you're able to hear it from people firsthand. Go ahead, Nama.
Hi there, my name is Josh Bratt. I'm a project manager for the San Francisco Estuary Partnership. We're here on the North Richmond shoreline, which is going to be drowned eventually by sea level rise. Eventually, as the bay rises, these beautiful wetlands that we see in front of us will become submerged over time, and all of the habitat that it has right now is going to be underwater.
Hi, my name is Joe Neugebauer. I am the Environmental Services Manager for West County Wastewater. And I wanted to take you out here. We're standing right now on the Bay Trail directly to the west of our wastewater treatment plant. You can see this is Wildcat Marsh out here. You can't see it, but just over the mound there, which is part of the Republic Services landfill, is the bay. And it's a very flat marsh. And if you just look over to this side over here, you can see our wastewater treatment plant. So with the latest projections that are coming out for sea level rise, we're looking at being chronically inundated with sea level rise and storm surges within 30 years. So it's really critical and vitally important for us to have something that can protect this infrastructure. So
my name is Juliana Gonzalez. I am the Executive Director of the Watershed Project, a local nonprofit out of Richmond, California. And we have been working here in North Richmond for many years. This is Wildcat Creek. And we have been helping steward this creek for a long time, but it has a really bad trash problem. And we're right next to the school, Verde Elementary. And so this school is a school where we do a lot of environmental education. And this linear park, which is the Wildcat Creek Trail, happens to go all the way to the park, crossing the parkway into San Francisco Bay, very close to where the horizontal levee is going. And we have a sediment issue, as you can see here behind you. These are the piles of sediment that have been dredged from the channel. So the flood control district dredges it so that they can keep the capacity of the channel to avoid flooding. And that's an issue with sea level rise too. Like not only the underpass will be unusable for other reasons, now it will be underwater, and so what we need is an overpass, but also some of the sea level rise will create more saltwater intrusion into the creek, and it will elevate the levels of the water.
So what we can see, or at least what we can hear from folks speaking in these videos, is that there are legit some serious issues and that we're facing, that the shoreline is facing at least, with sea level rise. So what we're going to be discussing now is just certain solutions that have both traditional and a new, more new aged solution that we're seeing for sea level rise. So the first one here is we see right here on your right, the Embarcadero seawall. And then to your left is a traditional vertical levee or barrier. So there are actually a few problems with these type of solutions. One is that it's a fixed solution. So there's only a maximum effectiveness that each one of these can do. And with sea level rise, and like I mentioned, how it changes over time during storm surges and high tides, it's not adaptable to that change. It's also not sustainable. It actually needs a lot of repairs, specifically the seawall. So it does cost a lot of money. It's also very site specific. We are looking at, again, not something that is adaptable to an overall shoreline. It's very particular to the site that it's at. And another big one would be it creates barriers. It reduces the accessibility that folks have to the shoreline. People can't access it at all. Now we're gonna talk a little more about nature-based solutions or adaptations to sea level rise. So nature-based solutions actually use the power of natural ecosystems for the benefit of society. So by restoring habitats to their natural state, these environments actually become more adaptable to sea level rise and are able to protect both the environment and the people nearby. They are inspired by nature, designed to simultaneously support human well-being and biodiversity. The design is determined by specific natural and cultural contexts that include traditional, local, and scientific knowledge. On your left here, we see a horizontal levee that was done in San Leandro. I don't know if Nama, if you can go back one slide just real quick. Yeah, so in this, on the left one that you see a traditional vertical levee, you see a really sharp like slope that we're seeing, right? A really drastic one. Nama, if we go back. So the one that we're seeing here is a lot more gentle. It's a lot broader, it's gentler slope. And so during these high water levels, the permeable soils and the dense vegetation, they actually increase infiltration and buffer sea level rise. During the dry seasons, the wastewater is discharged into the wetland, and the wetland like treats water, and the water replenishes the plants. So on the right, we actually see a really good example here, right near North Richmond, right here in Pinole, and it's with Olympia oyster reefs. So because oysters feed by filtering water while collecting nutrients, so they clean the water as well. And this helps with aquatic plants such as eelgrass grow. And so we have now the reef structure, oysters, vegetation, all providing a buffer for shorelines, reducing wave energy that crashes into the land. So I want to just take us into, opportunities of what our shoreline could look like. And this can really be as imaginative and as creative as folks in the community would want it to be. We're looking at trails, playgrounds, learning centers, restaurants, bars, community festivals, even beaches. So it's really great to envision what this could potentially look like, specifically for the North Richmond shoreline. So before I go into these videos, I just want to say that I know it's difficult sometimes to imagine change, to imagine, right off from the start, from nothing, right? But these are just these folks right here, we're going to hear just what they are thinking of, what they would probably want to see in the shoreline.
At this point, we don't have a full concept yet, but what we're coming up with is something that we can take to the community and share and show that this is what we envision, this is what we see for the future of this area, and get buy-in from the community. It's something that's really important to us. We're going to be taking advice. We're going to be taking the wants and needs of the community into consideration as we develop this. And then in the future, what we hope is once we have a plan for this small 0.6 mile stretch, is to have it be a pilot that can be built off of in the future, because there's communities to the north of us and other industry and communities to the south of us that also are going to be impacted by sea level rise. It's mainly a pilot project that is going to come up with some concepts and some ideas about what we can do, both for sea level rise protection, having a natural habitat to provide that for us, protecting our infrastructure, and also providing access to one of the most beautiful areas here in the Bay Area for our community to enjoy.
One possible solution or approach to the sea level rise and water coming through and all these changes is to create some levees, an embankment or a pile of dirt essentially that's mounded up and it's elongated, and that would create sort of high grounds that would keep the water, at least from the bay, from coming in to these facilities, to the parkway, to the community.
One of the opportunities there is that there is an underpass where people were supposed to be able to cross safely to get to the bay and to be able to enjoy nature and use the trail to get to that amazing destination. But it has been out of commission for a long time because there's a lot of sediment that kind of has totally like made that path so unusable. I think the most important thing is that the trail itself should be the destination. So we should be able to enjoy the trail as the amenity, and it should have little bays where like you have like a little observation deck where you can see the amazing project of the fish passage, right, like around the corner, and maybe have some like small play structures. It become more of a community asset. And right now, people don't see kind of what can they do along the trail. They feel unsafe. The trash is not attractive. There is no lighting. So I think that the community will enjoy having the trail be an amenity and a park itself.
All right, so this is just what a few people have wanted to share and what it is that they're thinking of what the shoreline could look like. So how can you be a part of the solution as well? And this is where I really want to get you all excited, because a really big part of this project is to have community members be a part of it from the very beginning, which is the design framework of what it is that we're trying to implement essentially. So I really want to just once again tie it back to the very beginning where I was saying that this project is building on a history of environmental justice work, right? And part of that environmental justice work is to have community members incorporated in the projects from the very beginning, right? Have their voices and their ideas literally already have a seat at the table from all processes of the design. So part of that, of bringing that in is to get people to know and to realize like, hey, this is actually a project that you can give your ideas in, you can give your perspective, and it'll be heard. It'll be literally simultaneously working with the design team, which is Mithun. They're really, really big with that, and ESA. So a way to do that is to stay informed. We actually, the Watershed Project has a landing page currently where you can stay up to date with a lot of the things that we're trying to do right now. I will be linking that shortly. There will also be a way to attend meetings. So our folks here at Mithun have actually offered to open up certain meetings for certain design meetings so that people and community members can listen in and hear at least that side of the process and that side of the design and planning aspect of the project. And finally, which I think is a really, really great one, and this is what I've been trying to kind of get you all excited about, is to be a part of the leadership team that it is that we're trying to get people together from the community, from the North Richmond community. So what does this look like? So joining this leadership team, you would actually be joining 3 community groups, these 3 work groups, 3 to 5 community representatives and plus technical staff would be involved in these. The technical staff would be Mithun and the Watershed Project. Each one of these, the requirement would be 1 to 2 weekly work hours. And there's a commitment from February through September of 2022 with a break in the summer months. Payment would be about $50 a meeting for 5 months. So the total amount of payment that would be received is $1,000 for your entire participation in the project. And the work includes anywhere from co-learning, gathering and analyzing data, community engagement, leading and presenting in community meetings, and preparing materials as well. So I really, really want to emphasize that there is no experience required in this. We welcome all members of the North Richmond community to come in and apply and be a part of this. There is no need for you to be an expert on anything at all. It's literally as long as you're interested and as long as you want to be a part of it, you are welcome to. Just a little more on these community work groups. One of them would be envisioning solutions. So exploring, evaluating, and the design equitable technical solutions of sea level rise. Another one would be a community survey. So designing a way to gather community needs and preferences for the project, conducting the survey, analyzing the data, and actually delivering the actionable recommendations that folks have had. And finally, it's the sustainability and growth. So it's a group that will be identifying mutual benefits and development opportunities. So we're talking longevity now, right? What comes after we build the project? So we're talking employment, housing, and even education. And how to apply? We're actually going to fill out a short, you would fill out a short application form online or on paper, and you would submit it to us by January 31st. For any other information, we will actually be having a webinar on Monday, the January 24th from 6 to 7, in case folks had like any lingering questions, or like it would be a lot just more information that we would be giving to you. All of this is available at the Watershed Project website /shoreline. And if you could please help us spread the word, that would be amazing. Again, this is something that we really want to reach far and wide to as many people as possible that would be interested. So thank you so much for your time. And that's the end of my presentation. And I want to leave room for any questions or comments anyone might have. I want to mention that Joe is on here from the West County Wastewater Facility. Our folks from Methuen are here. Tim is here. Graham is here from Methuen. And Nama is also here with us from the Watershed Project.
Thank you for a real thorough presentation. Very educational and very much aware of the impacts that we're trying to mitigate, but also the community benefit and the outreach for community participation. I urge folks to spread the word and get the word out of joining these groups, because I think it'll be very advantageous to the community. Is there any questions or comments anyone wants to make now? Go ahead. Have you see you there, Joe?
Yeah. Thanks, Q. That was awesome. That was a great presentation. Really appreciate that. And I'm, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Joe. I'm with the West County Wastewater District, the environmental programs manager there. So, we're the grantee. So we're the ones that are kind of facilitating this grant for this initial planning and design stage. And I kind of want to just reiterate the fact that, we're in the very initial stages here, and there's no actual, shovels going into the ground just yet. This is really just kind of looking at things and seeing, what is possible, what we can do. And hopefully by the end of this year, getting a, maybe a 30% design of a pilot project levee that can protect the treatment plant. And one of the things I wanted to just, let everybody know too, is that, as West County Wastewater, we service about 100,000 people throughout the community. And it, Q did a good job of showing, which communities will be impacted by sea level rise over the next 50 to 80 years. But, the fact that our wastewater treatment plant will be pretty much underwater by that time. We provide service for the entire city of San Pablo, a good portion of North Richmond. So really the impacts to the community go far beyond even those communities that will be impacted by sea level rise, because if we can't provide the service that we do to the community, then people throughout all of San Pablo and North Richmond won't be able to flush their toilets. And so that's another important aspect of this, is because it's kind of critical infrastructure. And we're really excited about the fact that we were able to get this grant, because now we're able to get this kind of planning, the wheels turning without having that impact our ratepayers at this point. Utilizing state California Measure AA funds to fund this initial stage of the the planning and design. So, you know, that's a really good thing. But, you know, it's a long road ahead. Like I said, you know, there's no shovels in the ground just yet. And there won't be for a while because we're trying to figure out, you know, what scale this project is going to be. And again, you know, a big part of that is getting the community engagement and hearing from members of the community about what they want from this, because I mean, there's so much possibility, and you know, Q showed those graphics there, and I want to thank Tim and Eddie and Graham who participated in this too, and you know, to kind of expand our minds about what we can do for North Richmond, and it would be really fantastic to be able to, you know, provide better access to the area. So yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that fact that, you know, this is it's important because, you know, we are pretty critical to, you know, very basic essential services for the community, and at least to get this initial stage of the levee in place and designed, and then move forward with that will help protect, you know, those services to the community for you know, you know, hundreds of years, hopefully. So that's all I had to say. I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in on that, but thanks, Q, again for that. It was great.
Any other questions or comments? Go ahead. Let's see. It's LG K30.
That's Cynthia.
All right, Cynthia.
Let me see.
It's dark in your background. I can't see you.
I don't want to have any feedback, but I have, wait a minute. Let me turn something off. Okay, I had two cameras going. I had dropped my camera. And let me turn this off.
Okay, yeah. One of them might need to be off because we're getting feedback.
I'm trying to turn them off. Okay, I have this off. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, I had dropped my camera and I thought I had broke it, but I see I came back as LG K30. So by looking and listening at the presentation, what I like about the presentation is that you plan on enhancing the area. We've had flood projects, flood controls throughout the years, and basically work done was out of necessity and with very little enhancement. So the picture she showed where we have access to the shoreline to be able to have recreational use is something people in North Richmond, me myself, has dreamed about for years as we go out there to the mud flats and play over the years. And you see the beauty of the San Pablo Bay is about the prettiest Christine Bay in the area, okay? And you see the potentials of what it could be. So I'm glad this is included in the plans. And something similar to the possibility is what was did to the Dotson Marsh. And it could be a reality in North Richmond also.
All right, thank you,
That's
Cynthia. Anyone else? Hearing and
Yes,
seeing,
you can
oh,
hear?
Annie, go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I just wanted to comment. That was a great presentation, very informative. I know at one time that I guess a few years ago before this COVID, we did have participation to go out and look at the area and to see and to envision what we would like to have out on the shoreline a while ago, about 2 or 3 years ago. But anyway, to say that, to go into and look at the different levees that you have presented, the different levees, the horizontal levees, the vertical levees, and also the orchestra reefs that's in Pinot. Have you all thought about would it be more conducive to our area, knowing of the different levees that has broken over the years in other places? As for example, I think it was the vertical levee that broke down in, I think it was in Louisiana, where the levees broke. I think it was where it had different portions had rinsed away from the different storm waters and flood, it broke. So with looking at the rises of the bay that would be rising over the next century or next 25 years, what would be best, just from you all, looking at the data and looking would be the best presented of levee if it was to be a seawall? And I'm thinking of a seawall, but then again, if you look at the seawall, you see what's happening in San Francisco now in the Embarcadero with high tides, how it's flooding. And if it would be a vertical, knowing how verticals break, which one would, I don't want to put you on the spot, but just knowing from the history of different, from what we've seen, how they've actually broken and how they're still flooding, and especially when you have a wall that is a permanent wall. If we was to do a permanent wall, we were going to have to increase the height again. So I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out to somebody, to kind of give a little bit more conversation on that from the three that, that I've just mentioned. What would you feel would be, conducive for our shoreline at this point? Anybody want to address that?
Sure. Hi, this is Tim from.
Thank you, Tim.
I think there's probably a bunch of us on here who could speak to this, but I might just start. But my colleague Eddie from ESA, who's also with us, should mention as well. Really great questions about those range of options for protection, and the issues with the hardened levees that you're calling out are totally on spot, and that's why so far the focus of the project has been on the multiple benefits that you can get from a horizontal levee, where you get protections from sea level rise, but also allows for nature-based systems to further mitigate increased wave action, and they just have an aspect of protecting that sublime landscape that's out there already. And so I don't know, Eddie, do you maybe want to tag on to that with anything I'm not thinking about?
It's a great question. It's like the challenge of the project is figuring out like what, and it may be different answers in different locations along the shoreline.
Right.
It has to do with the mud and the structure, and you've got the hill at the landfill will be a little different than kind of near the mud flats and farther north up towards Dobson. But I think the big piece is just kind of getting a plan together, and like Q was saying in the presentation, like sea level rise, it accumulates over time. It's going to keep rising and rising, next 25 years and beyond. And so I think we'll be looking at, solutions that are, maybe you build something that's good for 25, 30, 50 years. And then you have a plan to address the next 25, 30, 50 years after that. So you can keep adapting as it keeps changing. And it's tough. I mean, this is a problem that's all the shorelines are going to be facing this. And we're looking at solutions, that do provide those multiple benefits. We know the shorelines, it's not just flooding, but there's all these opportunities for recreation, all these opportunities for the habitats and the species. And so we want to try to make something that benefits all of these angles. Yeah.
Okay, there were a few questions in the chat and then or comments. And the other thing we wanted to ask is, I know that we just got this big infrastructure bill passed through. Is that money already recognized, or are we anticipating some funds to come in to help with this?
Great. That's a great question also, and kind of is related to some of the questions that looks like Princess dropped in the chat also. But yep, the implicit in that discussion about the more nature-based scenarios that come with trail enhancements and ecological enhancements, those are inherently more attractive to would-be funders. And so when these range of projects along the shoreline that we're working with the community to put together, one of the deliverables that our team will be providing is a funding matrix and identifying which parts of which grants could be pursued to find implementation funds to push them towards the shovels in the ground moment. So as Joe was mentioning, that's in the sort of next phase of work. But the real intent is, if we focus on those multi-benefit solutions that do flood protection and ecological enhancement and further community access, then that makes it as attractive as possible to that wider range of funding, so that we don't have to think about tapping ratepayers or public tax monies and that kind of thing, so that we're able to see it through with the least amount of sort of need from tax monies and ratepayer monies.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Tim. You mind if I make a comment here?
Hey, Andrew. Yep. Well,
thank you. I'm Andrew Kahn, the Deputy General Manager at West County Wastewater, and I appreciate being here and having the presentation and getting some feedback. And I think I just want to reiterate quickly a couple of things that Tim said and that Eddie were talking about, is that this is a project that is currently funded by the Restoration Authority, San Francisco Bay Restoration Authority. So they've got a big focus on what we can do with that and take a look at habitat restoration at the same time that we're creating sea level rise protection. And we're looking at the whole 5-mile stretch along the waterfront here from a conceptual planning stage. And like we said, everything's on the table. And we're taking a look, and we're going to take a close look at the section in front of our treatment plant that hopefully ultimately could be a pilot project like Joe talked about in that short video. There is no money to construct it right now. We are a special district that, as Joe talked about, serves 100,000 people in West Contra Costa County. So we're going to be looking for that funding. And so we're looking very closely at all those opportunities and that's why we want to try to create a project that really is attractive as a pilot and is something that could be used elsewhere and benefits the community, as well as protects our important infrastructure, our essential infrastructure. So that's how we're starting this off, and who knows where it goes. There's going to be all sorts of different treatments at different locations, different property requirements, different property opportunities. And so we're going to try to take a look at all those the best we can.
Okay, we want to thank you again for if there's a hand up, go ahead.
That's me. Hi, everyone. My name is Nama. I'm working with a Watershed Project on this project. I just want to say that, I just don't want anyone to be concerned about the fact that it's only a planning project, because every project starts with planning. And we are reaching out to community members at this very early stage, so they can literally sit at the table and be part of the decision making. And if we don't get involved in this early phase, then in 5 years when there will be funding, then our ideas won't be incorporated. So hopefully you'll come into this process. Thank you.
And thank you for, that was the pitch I was going to make. I really want folks to participate in this and have input in the process and take ownership of it. I mean, that's the real idea of what we're trying to do. So again, thank you for the presentation, and we look forward to continued updates on what's going on. Okay, I see we have a quorum. We're going to move back up to the top of the agenda. And I'd like to entertain a motion for both approval of the agenda and the minutes from our last meeting.
I motion to approve the agenda and the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay.
Second that motion.
Thank
Don,
you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
With the question as far as the agenda, for it to be noted again, to have the Shields Reed Neighborhood Council to be added to item 7 whenever we have our agencies and program reports.
That was, you wanted that to be on the
Yeah, I wanted to be added.
agenda?
Not on, yeah, on the agenda this round, or if it's no report, but for us to be consistent, to have that agency to be added on the agenda. I think I have brought it up several times. Shields Reed Neighborhood Council. To
Correct,
report out, yes.
correct. And I'm trying to figure
I
out.
don't know I don't know if our president, I see that if our president of the council is on, she was on, Marina was
Just
on.
procedurally wise is what
Yeah,
I'm looking at. I don't
procedural,
have a
yes.
problem with the actual item.
Okay, so I just
but
want to bring that up one more time before we take. the
It's in the
final vote.
minutes of it being requested from the last meeting.
I'm pretty sure it was before Robert left. I didn't attend the last meeting, but the meeting that I chaired a while back, I had mentioned.
Okay, this is Cynthia. I would like to say it is in the minutes. It was approved to have Marina them added onto our agenda.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Okay, so noted. We'll just make sure it's implemented.
Okay,
Thank you. It doesn't have to go on the approval of the agenda or the minutes. It's just a note to make
It's
sure
a
it
note
gets
to have that,
incorporated.
yes.
So all in favor of the approval of the agenda and the minutes, I know you by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Oppose? Abstentions? That motion carries. Now we'll move down to item number 7. And that is the City of Richmond Community Service Department. Anyone here from there?
I'm here.
Hey, Stephanie.
Hello. Good evening and Happy New Year, North Richmond MAC members and members of the public and staff. My name is Stephanie Nye. I'm with the City of Richmond Community Services Department, and I come bearing good news today for the North Richmond community. So in the fall of 2020, the City of Richmond, we hosted 7 or so community workshops about the redesign of Shields Reed Park. There are a lot of people actually here in this meeting today that attended some of those outreach meetings and gave input. And in the spring of 2021, we applied for funding from California State Parks to redesign and renovate Shields Reed Park. And I am here to bring good news for 2022 because we were awarded the full $8 million for Shields Reed Park. So in the next, I think, 3 or so years, we're going to be working on reconstructing a lot of the area of Shields Reed Park. And if you guys recall, that included a lot of public art, picnic tables and seating, play structures, a bike pump track, a stage and performance area, and more. And I wanted to give a special thanks to the MAC, to Shields Reed Neighborhood Council, to Supervisor Joya's office, and all the residents and partners who contributed to the community outreach process and gave their input on the design for Shields Reed Park. If I may, I could reshare the concept design for the park that you guys helped create. Is that okay? For me to share my screen? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, so what you see here is right here is the Shields Reed Community Center. Here's the basketball court, and this is all the area that's currently just a lawn. And I think there's one play structure there, but all of this is going to be revamped. We're going to be adding lots of trees back into the community. We're going to be adding a lot of seating. We'll have the stage and performance area over here. A bike pump track, and around that we'll have a skating track for those who like to roller skate, a habitat garden, fitness zone, barbecue and prep sink, picnic games and tables, water fountains, new children's play areas, and just a lot of nice, vibrant amenities to add to Shields Reed Park for the North Richmond community. And so we will be coming back. Right now, we're in the process of executing the grant award. So we have to get everything signed and approved by City Council. But once we get going on everything, we'll be back to the MAC and to the North Richmond community for consistent updates, as well as more community input as we're going to start nailing down all of the details of the design. So this is just at the concept level right now, but we're going to be figuring out what kind of art you want, what colors do you want, what kind of playground do you want, and all those types of things. So I'm really excited to be here today to present this to you guys. We'll be back, like I said, we'll be back continually to give you guys updates, and I'm happy to take any questions at this point.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. That is amazing news for the community. A lot of work went into that. And I remember when you came to present the different options and working with the community to come up with one that was agreed upon. So this is real exciting, really big benefit from the community. And it had support where it needed support. And this kind of dovetails into what we just heard about the watershed. If you can actually put a planning process together, this is what can happen, and we can be able to generate the funding for our dreams, so to speak, or what could be. So great work. Any questions for anybody here? Marina, did you want to say anything? It's come a lot out of the Shields Reed Neighborhood Council as well. I'm not sure if Marina's still here. Don't see her. Okay, if there's no other comments, I'm not sure what's in the chat. Are you seeing anything that I'm missing, Tanya?
No, I don't see anything, but congratulations, Stephanie, and everyone. And I'm excited to work with you again in North Richmond. And great news to start off 2022.
All right. Thank you. We're going to move to Healthy Richmond. Is a representative from Healthy Richmond here? I do not see one. Tanya, your report.
Yeah. So hello, good evening, everyone. So I do have two updates. One is we did pass a moratorium on warehouses, heavy distribution centers in North Richmond. That was passed by the Board of Supervisors on December 14th. And that basically means that after December 14th, all new heavy distribution projects will be halted. So there won't be any new projects that would be approved. There is like a 45-day ending to the ordinance, but the plan is to extend it until we gather more information about the impacts of these distribution centers in North Richmond. And it was ultimately an ordinance that Supervisor John Joy put forward in response to community concerns about the increase in traffic and other negative impacts that the surge of new warehouses has had in North Richmond. And if anyone wants to, you can always access the ordinance on the county website, but if anyone wants me to send them more information, please reach out on the chat or in my email or phone to give more information about that. And then the second update is more of a thank you to everyone. I see, thank you to CHCC and like Joe Toledo that I see in the chat and other people who donated to the Birdie Holiday giveaway this year. We reached our fundraising goal, and the funds were used to give every student a book. It was also used to sponsor part of the community lights display that happened on 6th and Market, where they had the Christmas tree and the Santa, and they had a little giveaway as well. And then most importantly, and the biggest project that's going to come out of those funds is an outdoor mural next to the playground that was requested by the students and the principal to kind of just bring more vibrancy into the playground area. As many of us know, it's mostly cement. So it'd be nice to have something very vibrant and beautiful that is led by the kids at Birdie. So we just want to thank you everyone for making this year's fundraiser a success. And we will definitely continue to give updates as well on the mural project at Birdie Elementary School.
All right, thank you, Tanya. Any questions for Tanya? Nope. Okay, move to CHDC. I just want to say, you know, we talked about different projects going forward, and one of the ones that we've been working on for a long time is Legacy Court, which is actually on Fred Jackson Way. I think it borders on DuBose and Willard, and also God, what other street is that? Anyway, it's 3 blocks and it's different spaced out. And so we've been working on it a long time, doing mitigation for different contamination in the soil, benzine and other stuff, but we finally got it cleaned up. But the big thing is that we're getting some entertainment from the Housing Authority on helping to make the project more competitive. And want to thank them for entertaining that. We're trying to work through being able to have some project-based Section 8 projects to remain in North Richmond. And so we started that process. We'll give you updates on how that's going and how our future funding is going for development. So pretty happy about that. The Resource Center, we hoped for that, have that in the first quarter, to have some form of grand open, even with if it's remotely, and talk a little bit more about that going forward. Having said that, that's all I have, and I can turn, unless there's some questions, I can turn it over to Janie to talk about mitigation or Victor.
Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year's. I just want to inform that we will start the North Richmond Twilight Basketball Program at ArtPal with the kids from Shields Reed. That will begin this month. Tomorrow we will have the North Richmond Green Meeting. If anybody needs any information or given access to join, you could always email me and I will gladly send that to you guys. And another thing that I want to inform is that, again, we are actively on social media, and if you guys have not followed us, if you guys can follow us, we are actively posting news and strategies to beautify North Richmond. And Facebook, yeah, Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, is there any other reports from mitigation?
Well, I'd just like to introduce Janine Shahid. I always mispronounce her name. I've been working with her for the past 6-7 years. Janine, some of you may know, and some of you may not know, I have now retired, but I am back on contract with CHDC. So Janine has been hired to be the Preventive Services Coordinator for the mitigation program, and she's also going to be the Activities Coordinator for the Senior Center. So for the grantees, and I know I'm looking at Eleanor there, we will reintroduce Janine tomorrow at the North Richmond Green Meeting. So she's the one that's going to be working with the grantees. I'm going to be around for a while. You're not losing me right now. I'm going to be around, still bugging everybody, still doing the same thing, and trying to get things done in North Richmond and beautified. So with that, I just like to say, give Janine a chance to say hello. Some of you may know Janine. She was in resident services at the Barrett and at Community Heritage. She just came on over to the mitigation department or community building and engagement department. So Janine.
Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here and I can't wait to work with all of you. Thank you.
And Janine will be attending the MAC board meetings and giving updates from time to time on mitigation and here at the Senior Center. And I'll be attending too for a little while. Thank you.
Janie, I know we speak for everybody in your years of dedicated service to the community, in particular, what you're doing in what you've done in mitigation as well for the senior center. The work that you've put into the dedication really has proven to be a viable asset that you helped create in the community. And we're gonna keep trying to bring you back as contract as long as we can, so.
I gotta retire sometime. Thank you, Don.
You're welcome. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, I'm going to move down to Corporation Richmond. Anyone from Corporation Richmond?
Hey everybody, good evening. Just want to start out by saying, wow, what a wonderful meeting tonight. So much great news, and I'm just so glad to be here and hear it all. But for Cooperation Richmond, just same old update. We have our monthly co-op cafes available for residents who would like to learn more. It's an educational space to learn more about the cooperative model and how cooperatives can be sustainable in our communities. We offer services to residents. So if you know of anybody who would love to start businesses or already have a business out there that would love to learn more about our cooperative model, I'm going to post my email inside the chat. You can go ahead and hit me up and I can send you more information about it. But yeah, we offer coaching, connection, and also access to capital, non-extractive capital, to help you develop and launch a cooperative enterprise. And when I say cooperative enterprise, any business can be a cooperative. A cooperative business is ran on principles, guided by principles. It just means that a cooperative benefits the community and its workers. So thank you so much, y'all. And that is my update from Cooperation Richmond.
Thank you, Princess. Really valuable work that you guys are doing. I don't think Marina's here. I was going to ask her to give an update for Shields Reed. We'll make sure we have her on for the next when coming forward. Let me see if I missed something in the chat. Let's see. Let's see. The library, I think Tanya, maybe we can agendize that for the next one, the update. I think maybe we should do that.
A library update?
That's what I saw in the chat, I believe.
Yeah, it's just the mobile tool, North Richmond Mobile Tool Library.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to do a presentation, or would you want to do it?
It's just a really brief update.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. My name's Jessica, and I work with Stephanie. I just wanted to give a really brief update on the North Richmond Mobile Tool Library. Currently, the trailer itself is outfitted and ready to go. And what we're working on, we have the construction drawings completed for the shed, which is going to house the trailer. And currently the drawings are being revised based on their most recent submission to the Richmond Planning and Building Department, because we actually need to get permits to build the structure. So that's kind of what we're working on right now, and that'll take a little bit of time. It takes some time to get the permits. So one last item is that we're trying to figure out a good place to park the trailer in North Richmond, so we can loan out the tools on Saturdays of each month. So the needs assessment, people liked the idea of it being somewhere on Fred Jackson Way. If people have any ideas of a good place where, you know, the public can come to rent out the tools, please just mention to me or Stephanie, you know, if you have any ideas of where a good place would be to actually bring the trailer. And that's all I've got. So thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, Tony, there was a question about update on Los Deltas I don't know if you have an update from before. We can wait to next month if you think that's appropriate, but I'll allow you to figure out what's best.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. So with Los Deltas, we don't have an RFP about ready to hit the street just yet. There's still some issues that we need to work out, but the next thing you'll see on that will be the RFP for this campus, the contiguous site. And then once that goes out, we'll issue an RFP for the below market units. The I think it's 16 units of below market. It'll be something like 5 different sites. And then after that, we will be able to put the rest of the units out for sale at market rate. So the next 6 months will probably kind of work out a lot of this stuff. The RFP for this contiguous site, I really want to say sometime next month, but I got to rely on other people to do things, and I suspect it'll be 2 to 3 months.
Thank you, Tony, for the update. Okay, so I think that ends our agenda. I want to thank everybody for coming and participating, all the valuable information that we received tonight, and looking forward to an improved and great 2022 as we started off. So thanks everybody for attending. We'll see you next month.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Everybody.